Hello, people of the world! The topic of the day is Worblapie, or how to make your own Worbla with obsessive creative disorder. Worbla! God's thermoplastic gift to cosplay. The key material for anyone who can afford it. Patented already 1973, covering most of the known world except Australia, so no one else can produce it commercially, effectively monopolizing the market.
Kind of a good business strategy.
The downside to patenting your material and production method is, of course, that you have to publicly reveal exactly what it is you're doing so that others may benefit from and improve upon your invention. With a few minutes of Google, the patent EP1525284B1 can be found, which describes what we're looking for. It is filed by GmbH, who owns Renoflex, who owns the brand Worbla. Originally developed as a thermoplastic for industrial shoemaking under the brand name Renoflex RX5050, it eventually found its way to the crafting scene, where it was rebranded as Worbla's finest art. As can be derived from the patent, Worbla is essentially sawdust filler and polycaprolactone, or PCL for short.
This plastic is known under a lot of brand names, such as Friendly Plastic, Worbla's Deco Art, Polymorph, Instamorph, Shapeblock, Plastimake, Protoplast, Plast, Polymold, and others.
It is a biodegradable thermoplastic polyester with a melting point of about 60 degrees centigrade and comes in bags or boxes of white pellets. I have a feeling they are manufactured in Germany, since the price per kilogram seems to increase with the distance to Berlin. Plast in Germany can be bought for about $27 per kilogram, and the rest of Europe can find PCL at the material sample store for about the same. The UK has Polymorph for about $31 per kilogram, and the US sports Instamorph and Polymold at $50 per kilogram each. But there's more. If you buy Shapeblock instead, you get to pay $70, and topping the list of outrageous prices is Worbla's Deco Art at $80 per kilogram and Friendly Plastic for $88.
A bargain if ever I saw one.
Note that these prices are for packages of about 1 kilogram and may change with time and demand. And shipping, of course. You can also go directly to the manufacturer and find PCL on Alibaba for about $10 per kilogram. To make Worbla out of it, you simply mix it with a filler material and sheet extrude it. And since Renoflex decided to patent it, how to do this is now public knowledge, if you know where to look for it. Check it out if you're interested. In different patents, Renoflex describes a lot of different filler materials used in their Worbla-esque shoe products. Fillers can be other plastics such as ground-up EVA or PET, or organic materials such as wood flour, sawdust, or fuel ash. Basically, fillers are cheap rest products that no one else wants, thrown in to make the whole thing cheaper. Kinda like fillers in anime. Now, the finer the filler, the better the surface texture of your finished products. So for your benefit, I've located 2 easy-to-get fillers you can use when baking your own Worblapie. Common Pinus Pinea shavings and ground triticum, also known as pet wood shavings and wheat flour. But in Latin, they sound much more mysterious and arcane. You can get these magical ingredients at pet and food stores for next to nothing.
To start off your baking experiment, you're going to need a little bit of equipment first.
A baking scale for measuring your components, a large flat surface to work on, a few mixing and storage containers, your pie materials, a large flat glass form to bake your pie in, a mixer if you want to use wood shavings, your oven, and what pie was ever completed without a pinwheel. Start by setting your oven to 125 degrees centigrade. Next, gather up your materials. If you're using petwood shavings, run them through the blender for a while to get them down in size. Original Warbla uses wood flour of about 1/2 millimeter grain size, but that's not going to be possible to get with a blender. You might find it at a sawmill or workshop though, and if you're cute, we'll give it to you for free. The most useful mix I've found is 4-part PCL and 1-part filler. This is pretty much as much filler you can get into the polymer without a compounding machine. If you happen to have a tabletop twin-screw extruder, feel free to go 7 parts to 3 as the original Worbla, but most of us can't use that kind of equipment for pie. I find that the best amount is between 50 and 100 grams per batch, which will produce a Worbla pie the size of a small dinner plate. You'll need about 420 grams of dough to make Worblapie, matching a medium-sized sheet of regular Worbla. Dry mix the filler and PCL pellets by simply pouring them both in a container and shaking it. Then pour it into your glass form. A few pellets will try to escape the filler, but you can simply push them back inside. Now put it in the oven for 10 minutes until your pie dough has turned into clear plastic and flour. The mass is going to be hot when you take it out of the oven, so you'll want to have either thick skin, a thick head, or working gloves. I sport at least 2 of these. Knead the pellets and filler into a homogeneous mass by folding and twisting the dough. Make sure it is thoroughly mixed to avoid any problems later. If the dough gets cold and hard, put it back in the oven for a while. A thick glass or ceramic form will help keep the dough warm while you knead it. Once so thoroughly mixed you can't separate filler from plastic, flatten it out a bit to easier absorb heat and put it back in the oven for another 10-minute heating. Meanwhile you can prepare the next batch, or scratch your navel, or watch this episode of anime, or whatever. Once the Worblapie dough is warm, take it out and put it on your work surface. Grab your pinwheel and start pinwheeling it out to a thin cake, like real pie dough. Try not to stretch it though, since your Worblapie is a bit sensitive to stretch marks that will ruin your perfect surface. Again, if it gets cold, reheat it in the oven or with a heat gun now that all the flour is bonded to plastic. Once you get your desired thickness, let it cool. The 2 fillers I've shown produce very different results. Fine-grained wheat flour gives a flexible and smooth Worblapie that with very little surface work will produce a perfect result. A rougher filler, such as wood grain, will give a stronger Worblapie but with the texture of pressed wood plate. Both may be useful in your coming crafting adventures if you want perfectly smooth metal parts or textured organic armor. Because of the limitations of the production method, only fairly small Worblapies can be made, but these can be combined into bigger ones if you want to. Alternatively, you can get creative with a mangle or pasta machine and produce bigger sheets. And that's pretty much it. I tried to keep this as simple as possible so anyone can do it, so feel free to improve on the method, claim it as your own, write a book or save it on a USB and send it into space to confound future space archaeologists. I don't care. If you found it interesting or useful, simply help spread the word about it and chances are somebody else will find it useful too. Cheerio guys, and happy crafting.
Don't use your mother's kitchen tools.